Hello, and welcome to another edition of Leafless, Not Lifeless. I'm Sharon Benjamin, your host. Thank you so much for joining me. If you would like to get in touch with me, please do so at leaflessnotlifeless@gmail.com, and I will respond to you. Maybe you have a story to tell. I'd love to share it with the audience. So listen, there are those who people often are born into families where there are businesses, and they will often follow in the family's footsteps. However, there are those who will take a different path and go their own way. My guest today actually worked in the family business, traveled his own path, but eventually carved out a more definite business route for himself. Welcome to the show, Jeff, I'm sorry.
It's okay, Sharon.
Started with the J.
That's okay. It's all good.
Thank you so much for taking out the time. I know you have a busy schedule with your wonderful business, but I'm so glad you decided to join me today because I expect that the listeners and viewers are going to learn a lot about how to maintain, have that stick-to-itiveness and go right on. So first of all, Jeff, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, my family is like I say, going back to 1972, started a blue collar staffing company called Our Power, HOUR. And basically we did that, started in Newark, and we did it for a couple of years. And we found that most of our customers was janitorial maintenance. So we went into the janitorial maintenance business and we got into the various government contracting and we mastered it. We mastered the program because when my father's secret weapon was, we were to learn the rules and the game better than the people who, like I say, administrated it, because we didn't want to leave it up to them to make decisions in reference to our future. We also realized that we couldn't afford to be average. We had to be above average. We also realized we couldn't take shortcuts because bottom line, we are Black people in America, all right? Next thing is that we had to make sure that we dot our I's, cross our T's, and whatever we put in the contract, we did. We could not assume that they would let us go, nor assume that they were going to let us basically take shortcuts. They were going to hold us to the letter, and then only then will we get paid. Okay.
But isn't that what you wanted, though?
Yep, that's it.
You wanted the accountability.
But also, what happened is, by that mindset, it made us very competitive. Now, the thing that basically separated us from everybody else is my father was in corporate America. He had a high school, diploma, and then he went and worked for a large company called Gilbert. And he literally found a way to work his way into HR. Why? Because at that time, back in the 60s, that was the path of least resistance for African Americans who wanted to file the corporate ladder. So what he did was basically he started Johnson Maintenance, and he basically looked at things in a corporate way. And although we had a janitorial maintenance, my father never, ever got behind a floor machine. He always was the administrator. Now, he had a large family and he had a lot of people, but he focused on management and managing on large numbers. But also he took from corporate America the dotting the I's, the crossing the T's, the documentation, and the paperwork, and making sure it was, like I say, indisputable. And he learned that because he was in corporate America, he knew that he was always going to be challenged. So he had to make sure that his paperwork was right and tight. Okay.
So Jeffrey, just the introduction that you just gave is a workshop all by itself about how to maintain. But so you're from an entrepreneurial family, but does that necessarily mean that you would go into and become an entrepreneur yourself?
Excellent question. And I'm going to give you, like I say, a very pointed answer. I have 5 siblings. Now, although all my siblings have worked with the business from time to time, I'm the only one who stayed. From college to the end.
So that goes back to something I mentioned in the introduction. Their families, their family businesses, and sometimes the children decide not to go that same route. And they decide to do something on their own. So here's an example, a perfect example of that. Your siblings did not, but here you are.
Right. Well, bottom line is I believed in my father's vision. And I also believed, and I was a student of generational wealth. And I knew that real estate was a key component of that. And although I tried to get my father and the family to go in the direction of real estate, they didn't, but that's okay. I was chief financial officer and I still studied and watch out. When the family basically decided to shut down Dunn & Sons in 1996 because we lost a major contract, the Port Authority bus terminal, when Giuliani came in, he used a political situation and we got edged out. But to make a long story short, I took the headquarters of Dunn & Sons and I converted it into what's called a business incubator. And I saw this in Brooklyn under a sister by the name of Monica Gray, who ran a business incubator in Brooklyn, New York. And I said, wow, I could do that. And I said, well, I need to have some business development resources. And I said, if I could get like the government resources to come in and rent my place, then I have all the business information to share with all the community and the tenants, and we could go from there. But what happened was they wouldn't work together because a lot of people don't realize that the business development agencies don't always talk. They should, but they don't. So what I did is I went to California and I saw something. I saw the SBA, SBC, and SCORE all under one roof. I said, wow, that's what I want. How'd you do that? And I talked to the guy. He told me. I took the idea, brought it to Jersey, and basically I talked to them. They said, listen, we're more than happy to be a part of your business incubator, but we don't have money for rent. I said, that's okay. All I want you to say is that you will do it and that you will come and that you will have a satellite office in my facility.
Well, let me ask you, let me ask you though. So that sounds wonderful. That sounds great, setting up that groundwork. But for some people, they're going to think, well, that sounds pretty easy. But talk to us about that route. It wasn't like you woke up like that. So
right.
What are some of the obstacles, some of the challenges that you faced? Because while it might have looked like, you're just going right on, you might not have those leaves yet, but you're actually working. But what are some of the challenges that you faced in establishing this?
Well, it always comes down to relationships. And my family has established a very good relationship as well as reputation with the various business development agencies. We basically not only did the contracts, we did them well enough for us to be endorsed by them and for them to give us other contracts. But with that, I tied into all the government agencies, all the resources, and I used those and I leveraged those. But also, Sharon, I want to say to you, a key to my success is what I'll say to everybody else. If you become the right hand of somebody successful, then basically you're in their orbit. And as they grow and as they go higher, you go with them. I just had to be fortunate enough and blessed enough and favored with the idea that my father was that guy. Okay, he was the guy who basically everybody wanted to know. He was a hard worker. He was the one with the vision. He's the one who got the contracts. Because what happened was we did so well, Sharon, with the 8A program. We did what was supposed to happen. We took the resources and the experience of the government agencies and the business development resources of becoming a government contractor set aside, and we leveraged that into the private sector and use all those tools and skills to compete competitively. And we did so well that we bid it on the Port Authority contract, which was over $10 million contract, and we won by over $1 million.
So Jeff, this again, so was it that smooth? Was sailing that smoothly?
No. Oh, Sharon, you asked the right question. That's why you're the host. All right. Okay, so host this. Okay, so listen, what happened is even though we won by $1 million, even because we basically got them on technicality, they wanted us to basically have a proof that we had worked with a union and we were paying the union a wage in New York. Well, everybody was going with Manhattan, but we had something that was in Brooklyn and that was paying different, but we used that. We said, hey, you never said Woodborough, you said New York, and we did. And what happened was, even though we won by $1 million, Sharon, they didn't give us the contract because they said, you're going to cause some issues, and we're concerned about, check this out, labor harmony. Now, they made that word up just for us, labor harmony. Never heard the word before. They made it up, okay? So we said, okay, then I guess we got to go higher. So we found our way, our political situation, to the governor of New Jersey, who was Thomas Kane at that time, a white Republican. We met with him and told him how New Jersey was being ripped off by New York because they were showing all the business opportunities to the New York business, but they were not advertising in New Jersey. It's supposed to be the New York, New Jersey Port Authority. And we basically attacked the situation that they were treating New Jersey like stepchildren. So it wasn't just our contract. It was New Jersey as a whole. And the governor said, oh, okay, that's good. Let me chew on that a little bit and let me get back to you. But that wasn't the story. The story was when he and his wife went to the World Trade Center, when there was two, okay?
Yes, I remember.
And went to the Port Authority office because the governor had his office, okay? Had his office, excuse me, at has has office.
Let's get your face back on.
Okay.
We have time.
All right,
you're back.
Okay, so we had to basically tell me what I left off. I'm sorry, I lost train of thought.
The governor of New Jersey going to
the governor of New Jersey, right? The governor of New Jersey and his wife went to the Port Authority World Trade Center and went to see the governor of New York. He went up and saw this beautiful office with these 15 stories, marble walls and floors, and the reception. So it was at the desk, beautiful lady, and had a picture on the wall. And the picture was of the governor of New York. Now the wife is saying, so like, honey, where's your picture? This is the New York, New Jersey Port Authority. Why is there no New Jersey? And then when they went to the desk, they asked the lady, listen, we have an appointment with the governor. And then the reception said, who my ass is calling? And the wife said, we got to go, and left. All right. And with that, the governor was so insulted and saw firsthand how we were disrespected as a state. He vetoed everything until we got our contract for 1 penny less than what we bid it for.
Oh, Jeff, so we talk about being leafless, not lifeless. So here it is, you were denied, your company was denied initially the contract, and it looked like all was lost. However, you all continued to work. You were still growing and developing and figured a way to get to the next point.
Right. The key thing is what they don't teach you in school, Sharon, is business and politics goes hand in hand. They feed each other. They literally feed each other. The money feeds the politics feeds the business. It's power and money and power, and they go hand in hand. And you need to work both. In the same way, also, you realize you got to have two resources to fight any business or political battle. There's two. One, the money, and two, the legal. You got to have enough money to handle the legal and the money. If you don't have the money, you're done. You're in a bad place. If you don't have the legal, you're in a bad place. You need both to win.
Well, now, Jeff, one of the reasons, thinking about some of the points that you've already made, it seems as if one of the reasons you all were able to leverage that kind of communication, going back to something you said about, you didn't say it specifically, but keeping your books in order, making sure everything was done correctly, because people are going to look back and see whether or not you're credible. So the governor saw that your company, your father's company, was credible, and that gave the governor some leverage to go and say, okay, this is unfair.
Right. It was unfair, it was visible, and it was something that he could leverage politically, okay? The Port Authority bus terminal is one of the toughest janitorial maintenance businesses you can have, or challenges you can have, or contracts you can have. The only contracts that were more or equal as far as complications would be Penn Station or the World Trade Center again. You know what I'm saying? So I say all that to say to you that we basically leveraged all that we had to make those things work. But the key thing, Sharon, that really brought me into my space was I was the right hand of my father. And I'm gonna give you three things a right hand has to do. You need to know your boss, anticipate the needs of your boss, and help your boss and the company look good. You do those three things, then you are a good right hand. Now, the benefits is you're also the gatekeeper. You're the person who stops or, how can I say, assists in reference to bringing somebody to your boss.
In other words, you're kind of like the bouncer.
No, not the bouncer. You're the bouncer. Yes, you are a bouncer and the gatekeeper, because here's the situation. I bounce somebody out, but I can block them or I can open the door for them. Now, with that comes relationships. I start off as his son. I come out as Mr. Jeff Dunn and Malcolm Dunn. And that basically allowed me to build up a network that made me all that I needed to be, to have all that I needed to have, so I can do all I needed to do, independent of my father. When my father passed, I knew all his contacts, all of them.
So Jeff, that made it so, I shouldn't use the word easy, but more palatable for you to start your business, your B.O.S.S. So tell us about that.
What happened is, when Dunn Sons died, I started incubator, and I basically realized that the key thing that gave us everything that we need was training. So I went into training, and also training was low overhead. All I gotta do is bring the experience and the resources. And I knew the resources, and I had the contacts. So I basically tied into the training. So I tied training with the business incubator, which rented space to small businesses, and simultaneously we also, like I say, gave them direction as far as government agencies, and used my contacts. I coached them and consulted with them. So I helped these small businesses get some training wheels. Again, a business incubator is nothing more than a rooming house with some resources for small businesses to get the training wheels on, and then ride so they can take the training wheels off and go into another place. Now, we have 3 buildings, Sharon. We have a building for our daycare, a building for our car wash, and then a big, huge building, which basically we rent like maybe 12, 13 offices, okay? To make a long story short, we have this situation where the daycare is in its 3rd generation. There's been 3 daycare operations. 2 of them have gone on and started their own business, and actually bought another building, and basically are working very well outside of the incubator. So they have successfully transitioned into their own business and into their own real estate. Car wash, again, I'm in my 3rd generation of car wash, where basically we have a situation where they are now, the first 2 are in their own business, doing other operations, while the 3rd one is now still renting. So that's over 20 years in both cases, where basically, again, I have managed that, and I have maintained that, and they have been anchor tenants for me for a long time. The other ones have been a constant turnover, but bottom line is we have a situation where I'm helping them, they're helping me, and it all works out very well. But
Jeff,
yes.
I want to find out, and this is wonderful, and hopefully others will hear and will take note. So how are you making sure that this is passed on?
Okay, that's an excellent question. My sons are, and my daughter, they have gone independent into other areas of interest. Only one is staying in the business. My youngest son, he's in business, but bottom line is he's working for corporate America. And my thing is, I'm not trying to bring them in. I'm trying to make a very strong, like I say, product and service that I could one day sell. Okay. Now, basically, the building I own. Okay. And I want to share that with you, Sharon. My family bought this building over 20 years ago, 25 years ago, almost 30 years ago, really, sorry, 30 years ago. They basically bought it, and then they rehabbed it. And we are very proud of the fact that 95% of the contractors who renovated our building, and it was $1 million worth of renovation, $1 million, 95% went to small, minority, and local businesses. However, we paid a black tax for that. Okay, I say a black tax because we were intended to help. We had good intentions, but we did not check or verify with these people that they had done this type of, I say, business or contracting at the level that we needed. So what happened is they learned at our expense. They made mistakes at our expense. So they took more time at our expense. So if I had to do all over again, I will have the same intentions, but I will make sure that the people who we hire have had experience doing this at this level. If not, then I'll make a way where there'll be a subcontractor, because I do not want to teach people how to, like I say, handle my business at my expense.
So you don't want,
really.
So there are situations where you learn on the job, but this is not the kind where you learn on the job.
That's right.
So Jeff, that's another good point for listeners and viewers to know, because sometimes, when we need to have things done contractually, whether it's construction or legal or whatever it might be, sometimes we might decide to go with someone we know or people we know little about. But you're saying here, do your research.
Do your research, do your homework, and verify that they have the experience to do the job that you're hiring them to do. Also, Sharon, I want to say to you that basically because I was Chief Financial Officer, I was able to be a part of the loan process of the $1 million loan. Now, mind you, we got a $1 million loan back in the mid 80s. $1 million loan for a Black company was a very rare situation. We got it, we earned it, and we paid it off in full. It paid off in full with a Port Authority contract, which basically allowed us to, again, go to the next level. See, Sharon, one thing I've got to say to you, a key component of success in the business is you got to have some real estate. You got to have some collateral so a bank can lend you money. That's why we bought the building. And when we bought the building, we renovated the building. And when we renovated the building, that building became instrumental for us to get the money necessary to do the Port Authority bus terminal contract. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So we paid off $1 million loan, got another $1 million loan, and then paid that off. Now I'm gonna give you the blessing because we're firm believers.
Yes. So
just like David had dealt with the lion and David dealt with the bear, when Goliath came, he was more than ready. He said, I did the lion, I did the bear, and I'm going to do you. Okay, because yes, God's on my side.
Exactly.
And the same thing happened to me, Sharon. What happened was I basically not only did the first loan with my family, I did the second loan with my family. We got the loan and we paid off both loans. So I knew what it took to get $1 million loan. And then the Lord blessed me, Sharon. During the COVID, I was able to get $1 million loan and financing to buy the building in the middle of the COVID just on me.
That's awesome. So, you know, as you've been talking, while there were some hurdles at different times, we hear how you came out of that and making sure you were able to continue to travel on and learning from, I wouldn't say mistakes, but learning from those hurdles. You know, it's kind of like an athlete out on the track and practicing those hurdles. Okay, I didn't jump high enough. I didn't move on the bike fast enough, etc. So you're giving some of those good points for actually surviving in business. Right. So although you mentioned you're not necessarily trying to get your children to take this, but you're teaching other people how to do different things. Yes. So tell us about some of those things, what you're doing to help other people through your B.O.S. incubator.
Well, the other thing too is, Sharon, I've learned to I stopped bidding on contracts. I realized it's all about who you know and relationship you have with them. And I use my contacts and I basically find people who have a need for my services. And then we work out the details and have a contract that makes clear so that there's no misunderstanding in reference to our intentions and or agreement. So basically I found that when you are in the circle of people who's doing well and you help them, they help you. So what I also do is I tie into major organizations that have very strong brands of training, okay, such as Interrise, Streetwise, MBA program, the Kaufman Group. Those are two organizations, are major small business organizations that I've been facilitators for. And what happens is I take their curriculum and add my seasoning, and therefore I'm able to give the content that the organization's paying me once, but then I add season to give that little special touch so they know that I am, like I say, giving a little bit more, sharing a little bit more, and bringing a little bit more because I'm getting raving fans as a result of their product and my seasoning.
But they also have a history of credibility.
Yes, yes. And also my thing is basically is to tie into strategic organizations, various chambers, various business organizations, and basically I try to do the BHAG vision, big, hairy, audacious goal, which is written in Good to Great. And it points out, Sharon, that you have to do a situation where you have a goal that's so big, that's so hairy, that's so audacious, that everybody sees their pie. Everybody says, what's in it for me? What's in it for me? So you have something that's so big that everybody says, I see my piece, I see your piece, and we still got plenty of say yes, but we can't get it unless we all work together.
That is awesome. That's a great comment. So Jeff, tell us, think about in this moment, maybe 3 good points for people who are in situations, maybe in situations right now, they are on the fence, they're not sure, they know they have something to give. And when people look at them, they might seem like nothing is going on, they might look leafless, but think about some points that you can give them to know this is how you can keep growing and come out on the other side of success.
Excellent question. All right, let me start off with the three that's most important. First of all, you must have consensus with your wife slash significant other and your family, because your world will change. This is not a job. This is a lifestyle. When you understand that and share that, then realize and find out what you can expect from your family, because you're not gonna be able to do the household stuff because you're focused on the business stuff. Okay, so that's one. You got to have that buy-in. Okay, I don't suggest you go into a business unless you're single. Okay, unless you have that consistency and that buy-in. All right. Next, balance. You need to have equal balance in reference to your personal life and your business life, as well as your self-care of yourself. You have to have your spiritual, you have to have your mental, you have to have your, like I say, your purposeful, as well as your family goals and objectives, as well as your business. Now, what happens is, look at it like this. I saw my family in regard to the business was a sibling, and it was the favorite sibling. So I never expected for my father to do anything more for me than he did for the business. Matter of fact, he did more for the business because the business took care of us. You know what I'm saying? So you gotta look at that business like a part of the family. You gotta nurture it, you gotta cultivate it, and you gotta make sure that everybody is treating the family the right way, and understand what the business is bringing to the family. The business is bringing and raising the quality of life, giving you flexibility. Okay. The next thing is, there's a book called The Assignment by that's the name of the author. But to make a long story short, it says that you need to understand your assignment, the assignment that the Lord has blessed you with before you even born. You have to understand it's not about a decision, it's about discovery. Because the creator is not asking you. The creator has talked to you, and you have come to an agreement and understanding before you were born.
Yeah.
How you find that out? You got to have a relationship with him, so you guys can have that conversation. But if you haven't talked to him and you haven't had a conversation, then you can't find this answer.
This is great. This is awesome. Those points are significant, Jeff. That's a great way to say thank you for being here. Listen, I want the listeners and the viewers to take note of what you said, but there's a difference in inspiration and motivation. You have to go from inspiration, motivation, and determination and keep working it. So Jeff, I don't want your information to be lost. So I need you to tell people how they can get in touch with you.
The best way to get in contact with me, to know more about me, is go on my LinkedIn. Everything's there on LinkedIn. Also, you can go to my Instagram. That's my other balance. So the LinkedIn is my business side, and my Instagram is more of my family side, and it's a balance of the two. To get in contact with me directly, I'm gonna say J Dunn at thebusinessonestopshop.com. That's my website. The THE business BUSINESS 1 stop STOP shop SHOP.com. The business one stop shop, or email jdunn at thebusinessonestopshop.com.
That's awesome, Jeff. Thank you so much. And I will certainly put this up so that people can see it and get in touch with you. This has been wonderful. Kudos to you. Thank you so much, Jeff, for joining me here.
My pleasure. And Sharon, I want to say to you, I'm going to be coming out with a book probably in another 2-3 months, and I'll tell you more about that. And it's really about the balance, okay? And I'll give you a little tidbit, all right? And whatever you're going to do, you need to aim. You need to pay attention to what you're focusing on. You need to be clear about your intentions, and then you need to be mindfully meditating / prayer. That's AIMM. Aim for what you want.
Awesome.
Attention, intention, meditation, mindfully focus on getting what you want. And by that, if you aim, you will hit that target. But you gotta shoot the shot. to make the chop.
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing that book. Again, Jeff, thank you so much for this information. It is $1 million worth of information. Thank you so much. And thank you, listeners and viewers, for joining me for this edition of Leafless, Not Lifeless. Join me the next time, and you can get in touch with me at leaflessnotlifeless@gmail.com. I'd love to share your story. So again, thank you for listening. Thank you for viewing. Again, Jeff, thank you so much. And I will see you the next time right here on Leafless, Not Lifeless with Sharon Benjamin.